Good morning, good morning, good morning, all. How's everybody this morning? And that's a little bit of the Pogues there, one of my favorite groups of all time, going back a few years. And how's everybody doing this morning here? Just a second, I better turn my mic down to blow everybody's freaking brains out. And welcome to December 1st, 19, boy, my behind, 2019. And coming to a close, another, well, I wish I could say fine year, but that would be lying. So, but good morning, and hope you're having a cup of coffee and all rested up from the nights of frivolities and fun, frolicking. Anyways, so as I said previously, I'm going to be moving up to Grant to up north to work in a coal mine, and just wanted to touch on a few things here. I've been watching Raging Humanist and Rance Derrick on their channels, and Julie Mora, and those three. I've been watching others, but those three have been the main lately. Julie, I highly recommend her channel. All three of them I recommend highly. Uh, Good fun, honest, right from the working folks' opinion. And sorry for stumbling on the words there. But yeah, it's just it they're good folks, and they're just like everybody else, work for a living, and see things that are going on, or just just totally disgusted with it because, as everybody knows, we are being censored or censored, stamped out would be more of a fancy word for it. So, you know, call it, it is what it is. You're being, freedom of speech is being taken away under the guise of making everybody feel good. And don't forget that. If you have hurt somebody's feelings over the last 40 years, you can be sued and you will be guilty. Don't forget that. I mean, I might be a little hyperbolic on that, but yeah, we're not far from it. Uh, it sad state of affairs, but having said that, kind of want to touch today. I mean, everybody looks around and you see what's going on, and it still amazes me today that people just are so blind, um, as to what's happening around them. Like they say, it doesn't care, it doesn't affect me, and I'm shocked by that, because it's like, okay, you paid carbon tax, you buy groceries, you pay taxes. How does that not affect you? So if they decide to raise the income tax and take all your money away, that wouldn't affect you? Like, okay, I'd like to join that party where I don't get affected by any of that stuff. But I mean, it's just a blatant thing for, I got too many small things in my life that I prioritize as too important to worry about the big stuff. And quite honestly, I understand people have families, and that some of you have younger families. And that's fair enough. I get it. But there comes a point in time, as has happened in past history, where people have to make a stand. People like you and people like me. where it comes down to more than just doing what we're doing. This is basically like information. Like if you go to Julia, you go to Rance Derrick, Julie Mora, Rance Derrick, Raging Humanist. Basically, it's an opinion and relaying information. Go have a look at this. I'm not saying you have to agree with everything I say. And matter of fact, I'd be really disappointed if people, agreed with everything I said. There's got to be some kind of debate. There has to be some discussion held as to, okay, that's the thing. I agree with everything you say. Okay, great. I'm right. Yay. Has it changed anything? Absolutely not. I'm just right. And yay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to clap. I know that's illegal now. Amazing. But anyways, we get it. And most people affected are center and the right. And I mean, you're getting hit right in the face with this all. It amazes me how many people don't realize it. I mean, constantly we're being inundated with we're bad people, you're terrible people. Look at how fortunate we are. Look at the rights we have. Yeah, well, okay, let's go there a bit. What rights do we have? And I ask that honestly. I mean, what rights do you hold valuable? Like, I mean, people say freedom of speech, but I hear that's pretty generic. Um, I don't think a lot of people really understand um, like free speech. It's I think it's a abstract concept for a lot of people. They hear the words, but they don't really know like how does it affect me. Like I can say what I want amongst my group of friends or you know, and it doesn't really affect me. Well, take a good look, take a cross section of 20 years here, and I spent a lot of those years down in the United States. For those who don't know, I lived down there and up north in Alaska for a lot of years, and when you step out of the area into another area like the United States and come back, you start to see all of a sudden things a lot differently. I thought, when I went down to the States, I was, yeah, right, we're free, Canadians, and, great. You dummies down here don't know anything about Canada, and I'm here to straighten it. I didn't go down with that attitude, but you've heard people say that how the Americans are so stupid, the Americans are so dumb. That couldn't be farther from the goddamn truth. I won't spend much time because I was down there on 9/11. I was actually flying to Alaska the day that I'd come out of Minneapolis. I'd come out of Memphis, Tennessee, to Minneapolis when that happened, and then we got put down, and it was pretty disturbing. Um, and anyways, I mean, through all that, everybody knows that. It's just that when you're in the United States, where the attacks originated and happened in New York, and on the Pentagon and the flights out of Pennsylvania, which was not far from where I worked actually, because I'd worked up in Pennsylvania and Virginia, and it kind of really hits home. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people here that say, "Oh yeah, oh I remember that," and that. It was terrible time, and but I don't think people here really appreciate like when you're there. That was an attack on a country I was in, physically attacked. That's, I mean, quite honestly, and that was sobering. And the reaction, I have a great admiration for the Americans. Um, the people treated me good down there, and the reaction to it was, I mean, obviously, shock, horror. How could that happen? And then retribution and payback's a bitch, as they say. Whether you agree with it or not, it's history. It happened, and it's one thing to talk from a perspective when you weren't in the United States and say, oh, how could they do that? Well, when you're there, you get a whole different view on it, you know. And I'm not going to go into everything, otherwise I end up giving you a life story lesson on what happened to me over the years. But anyways, I lost a lot of the fellows I worked with were in the guard, and some of them never made it home. Um, Too many that I knew, and it was hard because I'd never had to face that before here in Canada. That wasn't something that was like right here, like that's something my relatives, World War II, World War One, um, it was historical, but this was like right here. This was like I knew these guys. I had worked with these guys, and then they were no more. That was a sobering experience. I wasn't watching somebody I didn't know bringing a casket in and not and saying, "Gee, that's too bad." It's a lot different, and that affected most of the United States. The attitude was way different. Now I'm going to jump ahead. Having said that, when I came back to Canada, I was how would I say this? I was shocked at the change in the attitudes. Um, and coming from out west here, it was like all of a sudden I was in a place where you knew people who were on the front lines who were getting shot at daily, who were serving their country and protecting and I don't I know some people disagree. I really don't care. This is the view. This is what was taking place. Your disagreement of that doesn't change the fact. So coming back to Canada, and we had troops in there. And I remember we were in Vancouver here, and we were selling product, and we got our own business. And anyways, we were doing a home show, and I recognized a couple gentlemen walk by the shoulder flashes that they had on their shoulders from Afghanistan theater, and they weren't going to stop, and I called them over and I said, "Hey, you guys," I said, "I recognize the shoulder patches." I said, "You guys were in Afghanistan." I don't know what unit they belong into, and they kind of like, yeah. And I shook both their hands and I said, "Well, thank you for your service, gentlemen. I really appreciate what you guys have done for the country." Now, in the United States, that was because if you understand the history of Vietnam, that was commonplace. You respect your veterans. You expect the people that would put their life on the line over there, literally right in front of you. These guys had been over there. I don't know if they saw combat or not. I believe one of them did, if I recall correctly, and forgive me if I not remember that right. But anyways, you go over there, you serve your country, you serve with freedom, you deserve the respect of the people, as far as I'm concerned. And I had people come up to me after saying, "Well, you shouldn't do that. That's kind of embarrassing." And I'm looking at these people like, "Are you a fucking idiot?" I said, "These guys were over there getting shot at for us. Whether you agree with the war is irrelevant. They answered the call. They went over there." Okay, so you're. It was just. My point is the flip side of that from the United States was just amazing, and it was like when I talked to people because. In the United States, when I was up in Alaska, we had the Eielson Air Force Base in North Pole, and we had Fort Wainwright, just outside of Fairbanks. So we had two bases there. And I would go into work. I was, going past North Pole quite a bit. Actually, I was going down to Fort Greely, which is another base to the south, down the Richardson Highway. Anyways, everybody you knew either had a relative or knew people that were in there. So everything that was going on was talked about daily. It was right in your face. How could you ignore it? Afghanistan, Iraq. You know, our boys were over there. And I consider, because I lived there for so long, I consider our boys were over there. And in Canada, our boys were over there. Come back to Canada. at least in the West. I can't speak for all Canada, but in my experience, it was like this. When I talked to people about it, like I had in the States, it was this abstract concept that, yeah, that sucks. But did you see the hockey game? And I'm like, okay, this is like weird. This is like, I found it uh, disrespectful, and at least in my mind, after coming from the States, I found it highly disrespectful. I felt really alien in my own country. I felt like, wow, this is like, wow, after the tax and stuff that you're right there, and I was close to some of this stuff that had happened, and I knew people who had friends and relatives that were killed actually in New York. So it kind of it hit close to home. Um, so coming back here was like, wow, it's like this, holy smokes. Now we're going to advance the clock. Okay, I know people had their issues with Harper. I had issues with Harper and that. Um, Not that I wanted him out, but things needed to change from that perspective. Well, little did I see through the country that all of a sudden we had this former prime minister's son um, with no experience in 2015 gets elected. And you all know what's gone on the last 4 years. I mean, the man is a total idiot. He's a walking fucking disaster. Um, Up to 2019, the last election, but going for the last 4 years, and I'm talking from my perspective. It's like all this, like when he stood up and he told that nice no rants had the gentleman, I can't remember his name, the guy that actually stood up and asked the PM Village idiot in a town hall meeting about what he's going to do for the veterans, and he said he didn't have enough. That's after 10.5 million goes to Kadar, whatever the fuck his name is. He's a millionaire, so he probably don't give a shit what I say about him. And his sister, I mean, just the whole thing is like, wow, and you reflect, you look in the United States, and then you come here, and this is like now after being and over in Ukraine, I worked down in Chile, all over the United States. So I'm not talking from a narrow perspective, and I lived in these places. I didn't just visit for 2 weeks, and that's another issue we'll come to. But so I felt like totally alienated. Like now you can't talk about things because you might hurt some Islamic feelings. Well, we don't care about anybody else, but for some reason, because they've got 1% population, whatever the hell it is, now all of a sudden the big focus is on that, which to me is like obviously pandering, you know. And they say, oh, you got to use, for transgenders, all this stuff flipping around basically in 4 years, the lesbian, gay community, whatever, and trans. Yeah, I'm not even going to go there, but whatever, it's like I am more special than everybody else. Now, when you sit back and you actually look at all this, and I want, whether you agree with me or not, and I want people to do this. Now, let's take Islam and lesbian and gays. And then let's throw a third one in there. Let's throw in women's rights, equality. Okay. What do those three things not have in common? And that's going to take some reading for people to look at that and actually face yourself and say and tell yourself the truth. I mean, is Islam? Do they accept all this? The way it's going, we're expected to believe it. The religion of peace and all that. I'm not a religious person. I really don't give a shit. Whatever you want to practice at home, you do whatever the hell you want. That does not define a country that you came to from somewhere else, and you don't get any special treatment over and above anybody else. It's called freedom. It's called free speech. If it's bullshit, people should call it out. But with Trudeau in here, all of a sudden is now mainstream. It's like, wow, we're not operating on common sense. We're operating on feelings. We're operating, oh, you might hurt my little feelings. Oh, I might hurt this, these groups is more special. They're a victim when they're not a victim. But it's crazy. Now you really need to sit and look at that and say to yourself, like, okay, be analytical about it. Feelings got nothing to do with, reality. And think about it. I mean, just honestly, what those three that I laid out, why are they not compatible? Honestly. And if you can't be honest with yourself, I'm sorry. You're probably one of those people that just read a headline and, say, oh, yep, it's a victim. Man, we should protect these people. They should get special rights. We should trample our rights to give these people special rights over and above everybody else. And this is where we're at today. There's nobody here, not me, not anybody else in this goddamn country, needs a little fucking PM village idiot who's going to, ruin this country. Quite literally. I mean, how do you do that in 4 years? You're going to ruin the country, tear it apart. This is what feel good politics does for you, which is absolutely nothing. The carbon tax, feel good. It's just yesterday. What is the Prime Minister of Canada's main job? And you've probably heard this before, and it won't be on CBC. His job is to keep Canada together and make sure everybody has equal opportunity to be well, be safe, speak freely, freedom of movement, all that, free speech. That covers it. That's a period. And what has he done? He's totally polarized. The Bloc's back in. Western Canada just, and everybody from my last ones, I'm done with Canada. I mean, just from what I've said before, it's failed, and largely due to the last 4 years of this just being, you don't agree with us, we're going to squash you. You're going to be down. Let's rub you out. That's what happens. So I don't know what is the answer. For me, it's separation, because I don't see anything changing in the next 4 years, the next 8 years. Nothing. So let's also look at, now we've talked about, kind of about immigration, well, religion and, gender and feel good stuff. What about an economic plan? Anybody, raise your hands if you know what Trudeau and his fucking morons have for an economic plan. Anybody? Okay. Oh, what is the plan for Canada? Kill pipelines, had an argument, the guy who was talking about equalization payments, and this guy just basically said on YouTube, yeah, Western Canada should go. Cry us a river, get the hell out. He's from down east. He's from Toronto. So what does that tell you? And I'm sure he's not the only one that feels that way. But an economic plan, let's go there. What is the economic plan? If you're one of those that figure the Liberals are doing a good job, you may want to look at the goddamn money leaving Canada. That's simple. I'm not an analyst of that, but it doesn't take a freaking rocket scientist to see what the hell's going on and how much we're losing. You look at the States, you look at Canada, you look how well they're doing, and we're flatlined, and we've been flatlined for a few years now. That's all due to policy of the government, or lack of. No policy. Feel good politics, that's what you get. Who the hell's going to invest money here if you don't know? Like on a project, If it takes 20 years to get the project through, and then you jump through all the hoops and then they cancel it anyways because it didn't feel right. Tell me who you going to invest. You make $1 million. You going to invest in it? I'm talking to everybody out there watching. Are you going to invest? Are you going to invest in your own country $1 million with this going on? Because you're going to end up losing your $1 million. It's actually better to go play the stock market. Hell, go to the casino. You probably stand a better chance. Not that I'm advocating casinos, but I think you get my point. So the other thing is we go on is economic plan. Obviously, like I said, I really need people to think about that. And then my favorite one for years, and you remember, I've come out of the States, gun control. And I have heard so much bullshit up here about guns. It is like, I'm sitting there, dude, you don't want a gun, don't go out and buy it. Good luck. That's totally up to you. It's freedom. Where ever in the world does it say you don't have the right to go buy something? That you don't have the right to protect yourself? That you don't have the right to be able to have the ability to go out and hunt for your own food? Where is that? What country does that ever come? Force their people to say, "Oh, I'm a bad person because I got a gun." If you don't like guns, that's fine. But the bullshit out there. How many people get killed in car accidents in Canada a year? How many big people get the shit beat out of them a year? How many people you figure that because they want us to call the cops? How many people figure that the cops are going to solve all? They're going to protect you. Guy breaking into your truck, run away, call the cops. Well, cops will come and say, "Yep, he broke in. Nothing we can do. If we find it, we'll get a hold of you." That's the last you hear of it. And then you got to pay for your car, your vehicle, whatever, your house that got broke into. And rarely do they catch these people. And not is that acceptable? So what people are saying is I don't have the right to protect my family and my property. And if I do, I'm the bad guy. Let me give you the reverse. When I was in Alaska, one of my neighbors had shot a guy breaking into his truck, and this is outside Denmark. And the troopers had told us that, look, you better have a gun on hand because he says if there's something going on, somebody's breaking into your car, your house, your barn, whatever you got out there, we are at least 40-minute drive away. So you got 40 minutes before the cops get there. Okay, criminals don't follow laws. That might be a shock to some people, but they don't. There's no rule of ethics for criminals. Oh, we can't break into this house because this guy can't defend himself, so we got to go someplace. No, they're just criminals are going to take the path of least resistance. You just disarmed the population. Woohoo! Free day. Cops are so overworked they can't do anything. So what's the answer? More cops that'll do nothing. There you go. Yeah, that really works well. And yeah, I'm getting down on the cops because more police is not the answer. Calling the cops while something's going down is not the answer. And I'm not even talking about personal, I'm talking about property damage. The guy breaking into cars, stealing it. Back to my story in Alaska. One of my neighbors, guy was breaking into his truck, had busted out the passenger window and was reaching in, and he stepped out in his front porch with his 45, and he told the guy to step away from the vehicle. And Buddy turned and went into his pocket and he plugged him, like right there. Boof. He called us. We went over there before the cops got there because the cops are like 40 minutes away. And this was in January. I think it was like about 35, 40 below. that night. And we go out there, we walk, we parked at the end of his driveway because we're like 26 miles out of Fairbanks, for Christ's sakes. We walk up, and here's this guy got about a thumb size hole right here, laying there, and you can still hear him gurgle, the blood gurgling through there, and it's like, okay, cool. And who do you feel bad for? Now I'll tell you, the change in the attitude is because you know their lie. It's against the law to steal cars, is it not? At least I thought it was against the law. So the attitude in a lot of the places is that you are not allowed to steal cars. It's against the law. But if you decide to steal cars, if you decide to steal property, if you decide to break into people's homes and you get shot and killed, then you just showed, okay, the criminal weighing it. I could get shot and killed. I might get away and make a few bucks. Is my life worth that? Some guys say yes. This guy just happened to be wrong. He thought nobody would get him. He figured he'd go there. They had a whatever. I don't know where he would have went. But anyways, he ain't gonna be not gonna be a repeat offender for sure. And so that's the thing. If you think your life is worth stealing that vehicle, breaking into a house, go for it. You know the consequences. If you get caught and some owner shoots your ass, you knew it. You knew the consequences. That's the difference in attitudes. You know. But here we got criminals with guns. You can't even deny that fact. Doesn't matter where they're coming from because most of them are coming, they're illegal. Surprise, surprise, criminals don't follow rules, they don't follow laws, they don't care about the cops because the cops are totally ineffective. More cops is not the answer. Deterrent. Everybody ever heard of that word? Now, I don't care if his mother, the guy, the criminal, if his mom and dad hated him, he had a terrible life, he made a choice. This is where equal opportunity comes in. Everybody starts off equally in a free country. You all have the equal opportunity to make it or break it. You can work hard, try getting ahead, better yourself, or you can turn to criminal and get you. This is in the States, get your ass shot. But not in Canada. No, here we basically say, yeah, criminals with guns. Boy, what a terrible thing. Don't face them. You know, gee whiz, you don't want to shoot because you go to jail rather than the criminal. Don't beat them. Don't do that. Just let them break in, steal your stuff. And what? You work hard for your stuff. You don't know what these people are going to do. Good gun owners, smart gun owners, well-trained gun owners. When I was down in the States, I lived down in Texas for a while. And I know people hear horror stories, and most of it's bullshit. Houston's a huge frickin' city, and we lived in this place with a lot of Mexicans in there. Good people, good folks. They were all legal, but everybody carried a gun. You didn't. You don't have guys out there waving, pulling guns. I got a gun. I got a gun. Look at I've got a gun. I actually let me back. Never once did I ever see anybody pull a gun out, ever. The whole time I was down there. But yet you listen to the media, and it's like people are running around shooting each other constantly. You know, that's the thing. You know, they're pot shotting each other in the, in the parking lot. They're doing never once the whole time. I was there for a year, all through there, up through Fairfield, just south of Dallas Fort Worth, up by Mahia. Not once. Yet, hell, I worked with guys that carried. You never knew until they, put their jacket off. They had a pistol. They'd say it away. Nobody batted an eye. It was just part of the tools you carried. Would you ever use it? Most of the guys I talked to never had to use it, never had to pull it, but they still had it there. And I always remember the story about Timothy Treadwell. And for those of you who don't know who Timothy Treadwell is, I would suggest you read the story. A lot of guys from Alaska really didn't care for him, and putting it mildly. Um, he got ate by the bears he was traveling around with. I mean, ate. Him and his girlfriend got ate. Literally. I'm not kidding here. So I heard this before. Guy said, you know what? He said, I imagine these guys that don't like guns. He said, hate it, will never carry them, go out, whatever. He said, but the one time, if ever, in your life that you get attacked by a bear, a cougar, a person, what are you going to defend yourself with? If you don't know how to fight, if you got more than one guy there, what are you going to defend yourself with? What are you going to defend your family with? Then you end up a statistic. It may not happen, chances are, but guess what? There you go. Everybody's right should be to have a gun if they so choose. Everybody should be able to protect their property. Everybody should be able to protect their own family without waiting about the goddamn cops. Cops are reactive. They can't go anywhere before a crime, during and after. 99.9% of the time after the crime. So there we have it. So what do? Illegal immigration. Well, anybody got any words on that? We still got illegal immigrants coming in here, but you don't hear a hell of a lot about it. That's costing us a lot of money. And as far as I'm concerned, if we separate, Toronto and Montreal can have them all. Good luck, congratulations. We're going to write our own constitution, form our own country, do it the right way. People want to come here, they come here goddamn legally, and they got something to offer. You live the way we live, or you don't come here. Plain and simple. I know that's brutally honest for people, but that's just the way it is. And that's the way it has to be. You don't go to any other country. Every other country I went to, you don't go there and say, no, I don't like this. I want to change it. I would have got shot, number one. Number two, that you just don't do that. But we are a people that are filled with a bunch of suckers here, bleeding hearts, who want to help every bloody little stray dog they see and stray cat, and not. And next thing you know, they get so many they can't afford to feed them and they can't afford to shelter them. Then what happens? Then all hell breaks loose. Yep, that's what's going to happen. So, we have 37, 38 million people in this country. We got a lot of land around here. They're pushing everything into the goddamn cities. Now, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? You listen to this bullshit, these dynamics of society stuff, and these guys talking about this utopia world where we're all going to sing fucking kumbaya on the goddamn street, holding hands together. That ain't ever going to happen. We are all different, all of us. We just happen to be a hell of a lot more tolerant than most people in the world. Most of the people that are coming here are not tolerant of our ways, not tolerant of us. Hell, there's some people from other countries here who are more racist than what people are saying some of the white people are. You never hear about that. And I see that every goddamn day. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but there's a good majority. Hell, you go here, you walk around where I'm at here in Vancouver. I'm glad I'm leaving, because I'll tell you what, English, you don't hear it. You hear Hindi, Punjabi, Arabic. That's more than what you speak. Hell, we got Syrian refugees here. We've got probably 10 families right around us here. And guess what? None of them will talk to you. The women all sit together. They've all been pregnant. The 3 years we've been here, they've had 3 kids every year. And they all get pregnant at the same time. I wish I was kidding, and I'm not. Now, these families are 4 and 5 kids. Some of them aren't working yet. That's after 2 years. Some of them have refused to learn English. Most of the women do not speak English. Okay, I don't speak Arabic. I don't have to. So I don't know. I don't know. Is it a problem? What's the issue? I mean, are we handing money out to people who just can't look after themselves because we're we're virtuous, we're righteous, we're what? Is that the puppy dog syndrome? I mean, history is going to show that we were stupid in Canada. That's the unfortunate part. I can't change that. I can change it by getting, helping Alberta and Saskatchewan and possibly northern BC to leave Confederation and form our own goddamn country. But right now, history is going to show we made a big mistake. Now, you can agree with me, you can disagree. If you disagree with me, show me there. And if you disagree with me, I'll tell you what, show me examples all over the country of all these people that have come here that have actually assimilated into society. Or did they turn their society, what they left, and brought it here and are turning our society into what they left? And that's been my point for years. If you come to this country, leave your fucking baggage at home. Leave your bullshit at home. We don't want it here. There's a reason you left. There's a reason you're a refugee. Because your system didn't work. It failed. Failed miserably. Because you were on the run. The least you could do is come here, follow our laws, learn our ways. There you go. If not, go back. If you think the system's so great, why are you back down over there fighting for it? Fighting for your right, fighting for your freedom. But no, you want to come here and start a fight and turn it to the same bullshit onto everybody else. So that way we have a fight here. We've been conflict free here for a long time in Canada, not for much longer. This is what happens. This is a reality you don't hear. And I'm not even talking about terrorists. I'm talking about in general. And not just about Islamic people, but people from India, people from, the Islamic states and that. Quite literally, people from Africa. Some of them come here and do quite well. But I think that's a minority, not the majority. Now we're going to have you look at here. I mean, Jesus, it's so obvious. I heard a while back Trudeau say, oh, they've all assimilated, all the Syrians. And I'm looking out my fucking window as he's talking, and I'm going, really? What planet are you from? There's nobody assimilated here. None of them will talk to you. They all follow their own traditions. None of them. There's two guys now that speak English. One of them's got a job out of all 20. And they're that's just the Syrians. I'm not talking about the other ones. That's not racist. That's a fact. Okay, if you're going to come here and you're going to sit on the welfare system, and the government's going to pay for you, what value are you here? Seriously. And all you left-wing nuts out there, if you want to take care of these people, well, then start donating a large part of your paycheck to pay for it, because the rest of us are sick of it. This is fucking money we're talking about, tax dollars. Our tax dollars. If you're not concerned about your tax dollars, fine. Donate more. Bring it on. But don't expect the rest of us to follow in behind you, because it ain't going to happen. This is not working. The way it's set up is not working. That's it. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't care if you agree with me or whatever. If you disagree, write something in there that's a fact. Not feel good, facts. Facts work really well. And unfortunately, we never get anybody to see it. So what do you do? But that's partly on that. And I mean, that ain't going to go away. I mean, with him reelected, and I've said this before, I see in 4 years, Alberta and Saskatchewan have to leave. Otherwise, he's going to start parachuting immigrants into Alberta and Saskatchewan. And for the numbers they're talking, in 4 years, there goes your majority. Now you're stuck. I really don't care, because that's what he's going to do. You know, they're gonna cloud it over with some, you know, rainbows and unicorn bullshit. But reality, that's what's gonna happen. So let's talk about my other favorite one, free speech and compelled speech. So when is in a free country can you not say what you think? Can you not say what you feel? Hurtful or not, I don't care. People say hurtful things every day to each other. My wife says hurtful things to me. I say hurtful things to my wife, the neighbors, all that. It's great. You're wrong, you go apologize. Say, damn, I was wrong. Sorry about that. You know, let's move on. You know, let's learn. That happens. That's life. But no, we're into this feel good, stand in the street, hold hands, sing kumbaya together, that we're all going to get along. It's going to be this all grand scheme that the United Nations come up with, that the world is one. We are all brothers and sisters because everybody's equal and we all look at people the same. Bullshit. If that was the case, what the fuck are they doing over there killing each other off like flies? You want to talk about hate? Go take a look at Palestine. Go take a look at Syria, ISIS, etc., etc. Really. A lot of brotherhood there, isn't it? These are real issues. These are, if you close your mind to it, you close your eyes to this, it doesn't make it go away. It just means you're stupid. It just means you're ignoring it. That's called, well, let's see, I want to use this fact. I want to use this fact. Oh, this fact's inconvenient. This fact's inconvenient. Yeah, we'll just take these facts and maybe look at them all. Look at all the facts, all of them. Because our goddamn CBC and CTV and Global News sure the hell ain't going to. They're bought and paid for. And they're the biggest criminals here next to PM Village Idiot. That is a huge problem. So, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to get off here pretty quick, but what it does is this shows that we are essentially, how would we say it? We are essentially at a crossroads. What would change things? Well, people getting off their asses, paying attention to what's going on, that would change things. So, and most people are going to watch this, you know, it's not directed at you. This is, you know, something you tell other people. Get off your ass, start saying things, you know, to the people you know that are sitting there on the sidelines, because pretty soon it's going to bite us all in the ass. Anyways, I'm going to head out here. I got to pack some more. Talk to everybody later. Have a great day, all. Welcome to December 1st, 2019, such as it is. Two Rivers, Mark Pope, out.